Bruh.
Welcome to a video on how to get good at the BFN Cactus, perhaps the sniper class, capable of being more annoying than noob tubers in Call of Duty. Players who are able to master this prickly piece of shit will be able to camp harder than your typical sniper main from TF2. Let's get started. The BFN Cactus is a defense class and is suited as the long-range sniper class for the plant faction, in a game that does not have any actual form of damage drop-off. They have 100 health and move at the same speed as everyone else, making them rather frail and easy to take out if caught off guard. So when playing as a cactus, make sure to always have an escape route available at a moment's notice. Their primary weapon is of a spike strike, being similar to Bandit Cactus's primary weapon in being a fully automatic barrage of needles. The weapon fires at 480 rounds per minute and has 40 ammo per clip before needing to take a 2-second reload. Each shot fired can deal 6.5 damage for a normal hit and 7.8 damage for a critical hit. Whilst the weapon does not have damage drop-off, the weapon is rather inaccurate and the projectiles fired do slow down immensely at mid to long range. So this weapon is best used as a last resort should some undead piece of shit decide to come face to face with you. Granted, this weapon also does allow you to easily finish off opponents if they're at low health, since you can just sprint after them and spray and pray, and they should die easily. Of course, since she is a dedicated sniper class, she gains access to a secondary weapon whenever she aims down sights. This will be your primary method of attacking enemies at long distances and will be the true testament if you can hit the broadside of a fucking barn. The sniper weapon has 4 levels of charge, ranging from uncharged shots to maximum charged shots. One thing to keep in mind is that the sniper weapon does have a higher critical hit multiplier than your primary weapon, and this crit multiplier becomes even higher at the maximum charge, so landing those sweet headshots will be vital in not only getting hacker accusations, but to also look like a complete and utter badass. The uncharged shots are rather underwhelming, but can be spam fired at 150 rounds per minute, dealing a measly 4.5 damage for a normal hit and 6.3 for a critical hit, and consumes 2 ammo when fired. These uncharged shots should only be used as a follow-up to max charged shots against certain enemies, and not for general use combat. The first level of charge takes half a second to reach, and deals 14.13 damage for a normal hit and 19.78 damage for a critical hit, and consumes 4 ammo when fired. Much like the uncharged shots, these should only be used to finish off enemies that you've just shot at with a max charge, though these come in handy if the enemy you shot at did receive a bit of overhealth. The second level of charge takes 1 second to reach and deals 34 damage for a normal hit and 47.6 for a critical hit, and consumes 7 ammo when fired. This one serves as a middle ground or as a finisher for against mid-health classes like soldiers, cadets, or wizards. And finally, the maximum charge takes 1.5 seconds to reach and is the most powerful of the charges, dealing 61.2 damage for a normal hit and a massive 98.53 damage if you manage to hit them straight in the head. This shot consumes the most ammo per user tate, but considering it grants you the ability to one-shot imps and send most classes straight into a near-death experience, makes this all the more worth the wait. One thing to keep in mind, however, is that when scoping in with your weapon, you generate a light that enemies can see at long distance, which becomes especially apparent in dark areas, where it broadcasts your location to eagle-eyed opponents. And because the game does not show you this light from your perspective, enemies can use this to their advantage by avoiding your sightlines, as well as ambushing you. So make sure to not stay in one place for long, as well as not scope in for long periods of time without reason. The cactus's first ability is her signature potato mines. These puppies have remained largely the same from their garden warfare counterparts, but they do have some major changes that greatly aid cactus in this game. Like their garden warfare counterparts, enemies that step on the potato mines will cause them to explode, dealing 175 damage in a radius that's actually much bigger than the previous games. This can actually lead into frequent team kills, because enemies often think the radius is smaller than expected, only to either blow up themselves or even their numbnut teammates. Additionally, when potato mines are placed, they also have a little icon that shows their location to you and only you. This icon updates when a potato mine has been triggered, so in a sense, you can use them as an alarm system to know if an enemy is closing in on your camping ground. You can hold up to 4 potato mines in reserve and have up to a maximum of 6 mines out at any given time in the game. Attempting to place a 7th mine will replace the oldest existing one. Each potato mine has a 30-second cooldown. The same strategies apply as before from the previous games, but since you can now have a lot more out, you can cover considerably more ground and catch more enemies off guard with these explosive heaps of shit. The cactus's second ability is the petal propeller. This shit is essentially your go-to ability in either getting to high ground of interest or running the fuck away from certain enemies. Regardless, this shit is your lifeline and get out of jail free card for if shit hits the fan and you need to leave. When initiating the ability, you will gain a burst of momentum towards the direction you are moving and will hover in the air temporarily for a few seconds. The duration of the flight depends on how much you move, with one interesting interaction. On most versions of the game, using the up ability whilst in flight will not consume any additional stamina, so you can gain quite a sizable amount of altitude in a short period of time, though it is rather slow, so you should set time aside to do it. On the Switch version however, this was changed, as using the up ability now grants you much faster upward movement, but also comes at the price of consuming stamina at the same rate as moving around normally. So if you are on the Switch version of the game, then be prepared to act quickly if you plan on going up with the ability. The ability can be cancelled early by aiming down sights, so if you're against an enemy you need to kill straight away, or using an upgrade like Alacrity for example, then you can respond as quickly as needed. Once the ability is activated, it will go on a short 10-second cooldown, so you'll be able to reposition frequently. The cactus's third and final ability is the garlic drone, which has taken a massive improvement from its garden warfare counterpart, where instead of controlling an onion that drank 27 pints of whiskey with crack cocaine, now the drone has fluid functionality and responds to movement inputs much more fluently. The drone has 5 health, can last up to a maximum of 60 seconds, and moves at near sprinting speed in all directions, so it can give chase to fast enemies, as well as dodge incoming attacks, which it needs to do frequently, given that it has so little health. However, if you do get hit and are able to survive, then fear not, since in BFN, the drone is actually capable of regenerating health and can also be given 5 extra health through overheal. The drone comes with its own weapon that fires at 312 rounds per minute and can fire for up to 5.57 consecutive seconds before suffering an overheat, making it unavailable for the next 3.37 seconds. Each shot fired can deal 10 damage for a normal hit and 12 for a critical hit. The weapon used by the drone does not have any form of either damage drop-off or drag drop-off, but it does have a little bit of spread, so long-range combat may be mildly inconsistent. The drone also comes with an airstrike that has an initial cooldown of 18 seconds. When this airstrike is activated, the drone charges up before unleashing a volley of absolute fucking destruction, raining down hell upon enemies in the form of 7 highly damaging corn cobs. Each cob can deal a massive 45 for a direct hit and 25 for the splash in a generous radius. The cobs are fired at 200 rounds per minute, so they can lay out its high damage extremely quickly. This makes the drone not only useful at picking off stray targets, but also in dealing with groups of enemies if they are not aware of your presence, by raining down hell upon them with the explosives. Once the drone expires, it will go on a 26-second cooldown, a lot shorter than its cooldown from garden warfare. Additionally, if the cactus takes any form of damage whilst in the drone, they will be forced out of it instantly, so make sure to use it whilst in a safe location, or enemies may take the opportunity to secure a free kill on your now unaware corpse. In terms of strengths, the cactus has a powerful long-range arsenal, with a weapon capable of sending most enemies into critical condition, and one-shotting imps if they do not have overhealth. Her many potato mines can be littered across the battlefield, and still work for the oldest trick in the book of placing them in zombie spawners, allowing her to catch enemies by surprise. However, when using the sniper weapon, she generates a bright light which essentially broadcasts her location, especially on dark maps, which enemies can take advantage of. Her low health pool of 100 makes her especially vulnerable to ambushes and burst fire damage, which leave her little time to react if caught off guard. Now in terms of upgrades, whilst she does have quite a few half decent upgrades, there are two in particular that go hand in hand together, those being looting and calibrated. Looting grants back ammo on a critical vanquish with either weapon, which sounds simple on paper but becomes especially deadly when paired with calibrated. Calibrated reduces how long it takes to charge up the sniper weapon for every time it deals damage, up to a maximum of a 90% reduction, making it charge next to instantaneously. The effect is kept for as long as Cactus does not reload. This, when paired with looting, allows the Cactus to do some batshit crazy levels of damage output. For as long as she can find low health victims to kill, she can keep her ammo supply going near indefinitely and just keep committing mass homicide against the enemy team. Thanks to this guide, you will now be the master of killing the ever-living shit out of the enemy team and watch as your messages get flooded with hate mail on how much they hate campers like you. Be sure to come back for the next episodes next week. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more shit like this. Have fun.